Hi, I'm Daryl Hart, a blogger who loves talking about financial gossip. Today, I want to talk about something that often gets overlooked but is incredibly important: the memory chip industry. In recent years, the entire semiconductor sector has been overshadowed by artificial intelligence, AI. Companies like NVIDIA, AMD, and TSMC have seen their stock prices soar, frequently hitting new highs. The market's been cheering these tech giants on. But amidst all the excitement, there's one small sector that's often forgotten: memory chips. However, just a few days ago, a news update completely changed the game. On August 12th, Micron, the world's third largest memory chip maker, raised its earnings outlook for the next quarter. Revenue expectations jumped from $10.7 billion to $11.2 billion, nearly a 5% increase. What's more, the adjusted earnings per share forecast was raised from $2.50 to $2.85, an impressive 14% hike. And the gross margin forecast surged from 42% to 44.5%. This is no small change. It means both prices and margins are on the rise, and for an industry that's been struggling with price drops for the past 2 years, this is an extremely encouraging sign. Why did this happen? It's actually pretty simple. Micron said the main driver of the bump was the recovery of DRAM, dynamic random access memory prices, largely fueled by skyrocketing demand for data centers driven by AI. In other words, AI hasn't just helped companies making computing chips like GPUs, it's now also benefiting storage chip makers. As soon as this news broke, Micron's stock jumped, and the Philadelphia Semiconductor Index surged as well. This kind of movement signals that the memory chip industry might just be entering a new recovery cycle. Today, I want to take this opportunity to dive into the often overlooked memory chip market. Many investors focus on GPUs and computing chips, thinking they're the real moneymakers, and overlook memory chips. But if you've missed this window, you might find it tough to catch up. Let's break it down. The two main types of memory chips are DRAM and NAND. They're used in smartphones, computers, servers, and even car systems. Unlike the highly specialized and technically advanced GPUs, DRAM and NAND are cyclical products whose prices are mainly determined by supply and demand. For the past 2 years, the keyword for this industry has been oversupply. Why? First, smartphone sales have been declining. According to IDC, global smartphone shipments are expected to drop 3.2% year over year in 2023, marking the second consecutive year of decline. This trend has directly affected memory demand in phones. The PC market has also shrunk. Gartner reports that global PC shipments are set to fall by 14.8% in 2023, the largest drop in nearly 30 years. This has resulted in a massive buildup of DRAM inventory in the PC sector. Even though AI was making headlines, demand from the server market didn't explode right away. Most data centers take longer to build, so 2023 didn't see an immediate boom in server DRAM demand. On the supply side, companies like Samsung, SK Hynix, and Micron expanded aggressively during the last boom period, leading to a massive inventory glut in 2022 and 2023. This, in turn, caused prices to plummet. From Q2 2022 to Q4 2023, mainstream DRAM contract prices fell by more than 60%, and some NAND products even saw price cuts of over 70%. This dragged down the industry's profitability. In 2023, Micron posted a $5.4 billion loss for the year, its worst loss since the 2008 financial crisis. Samsung's memory business saw a 95% drop in operating profit. But the turning point has arrived. Starting from Q4 2024, the major players in the industry began announcing plans to cut production and reduce capital expenditure. Samsung has said it will reduce its DRAM and NAND production by 20% in 2024, while SK Hynix is shifting some of its DRAM capacity to high-bandwidth memory (HBM). Micron plans to cut DRAM production by about 10% by 2025 and pause some of its expansion plans. With this reduction in supply, combined with the surge in AI-driven demand from data centers, prices have started to rise again. According to TrendForce, DRAM contract prices are expected to rise more than 18% in the first half of 2025, while NAND prices are forecast to increase around 15%. The main reason behind Micron's revised earnings forecast is this price recovery. According to them, the price hikes have been going smoothly, with no noticeable pushback from customers. This means the industry's pricing power is coming back, and the bottom of the cycle is behind us. The rise of AI is not just driving the demand for computing chips like GPUs, it's also quietly boosting the need for storage chips. For example, a single NVIDIA H100 GPU module requires 80 gigabytes of high-bandwidth memory, HBM3, and an AI server can be equipped with 8 to 16 of these GPUs. This means the storage demand for a single server is several times higher than it was during the traditional cloud computing era. This is directly driving the demand for high-end HBM, and prices are naturally going up. Now, you might be wondering, how does the rise in HBM prices relate to regular DRAM? Well, it's actually very relevant. HBM is essentially the top-tier member of the DRAM family. You can think of DRAM as a family with products like LPDDR for phones, DDR5 for PCs, GDDR for graphics cards, and at the very top, HBM. HBM uses 3D stacking and silicon through via technology to stack DRAM chips, creating a skyscraper structure, and then connects them via ultra-wide buses to massively increase bandwidth while reducing power consumption. The problem is, while HBM is a high-end product, the manufacturing process and equipment it uses are very similar to regular DRAM. So, with AI demand pushing up HBM orders, manufacturers are prioritizing high-margin HBM production. This means the capacity for standard DRAM, GDDR, and LPDDR is being squeezed, leading to tighter supply and higher prices. This is also changing the demand structure in the memory market. AI data centers need a lot of high-end memory like HBM, but they also need massive amounts of NAND flash storage to store things like training data, inference results, and vector databases. Unlike video memory, these data can't just disappear when the power goes off. As a result, companies like Microsoft, Amazon, and Google are already locking in NAND flash contracts for 1 to 2 years in advance, fearing supply disruptions as AI infrastructure expands. This has created a fascinating situation. The HBM supply is tight, pushing up DRAM prices. At the same time, the demand for NAND is skyrocketing thanks to AI applications. The entire memory chip market is essentially running on two tracks at once, entering a full recovery mode. The cool thing is, this demand is not just a short-term blip. SK Hynix predicts that by 2030, the HBM market will have a compound annual growth rate, CAGR, of 30%. If that growth rate holds up, memory chips won't be like the standardized products of the past, where it's all about who can produce the most for the cheapest. They'll become a critical component in AI computing systems. Another major factor to consider is geographical advantage. The U.S. government's recent tariffs on imported chips, ostensibly to protect U.S. manufacturing, are actually pushing manufacturers to bring production back to the U.S. For companies like Micron that already have manufacturing facilities in the U.S., this acts as a natural immunity to tariff risks, providing them with extra security. As a result, when clients make procurement decisions, they're likely to favor U.S.-based companies. So, to sum it up, the recovery of the memory chip industry is being driven not only by the growing demand for AI, but also by geopolitical factors. Companies like Samsung, SK Hynix, and Micron have a technological edge, but US-based companies or those with large investments in the US are in a stronger position to benefit in the long run. If you think of the global DRAM and NAND market as a poker table, there aren't many players, and most of them have limitations when it comes to key technologies. As AI demand continues to rise, the companies that are innovative, have production capacity, and hold geographical advantages will emerge as the real winners. So keep an eye on this. AI growth is driving storage chip demand, memory chip prices are rising, and these changes are not short-term. There's long-term momentum behind them. As investors, this could be a huge opportunity, especially if you're already watching that dark horse stock in the memory chip sector. Alright, that's it for today's video. If you found this helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, it really helps the channel. And of course, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss my upcoming insights on the markets and investment strategies. I'd also love to hear your thoughts. Where do you think the market is headed next? Share your ideas in the comments. Let's learn and grow together. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.